I'm Keith Olbermann, and this is The Resistance. The incoming cabinet and White House staff of the idiot-elect is so collectively and individually nefarious, so reeking of financial corruption and moral decay, that it beggars political comparison. Teapot Dome, Boss Tweed, and the Bush-Cheney-Halliburton redistribution of wealth and the financial scandals of the presidency of Ulysses S. Grant are insufficient. We literally have to compare this, again to use John Cleese's line, this crew of a governmental pirate ship to Batman villains. All Batman villains. All of them in one movie, like the Adam West movie with the Joker, the Penguin, the Riddler, Catwoman, and the other denizens of what the filmmakers dubbed United Underworld. Let's meet them, and let's dub them Citizens United Underworld. Starting in the cabinet, and this first one may be the least offensive, the nominee for Secretary of Defense, James Mattis, who noted once that it's fun to shoot some people, and who, per federal law, is not actually eligible to become Secretary of Defense until May 22nd, 2020, because a Secretary of Defense must be retired 7 years from active military service. Trump's gonna get them to waive that. Waive this. Mattis is on the board of General Dynamics, which makes tanks and submarines and other stuff the Pentagon boys like to buy. And he may be the best of them. Betsy DeVos, Secretary of Education nominee, big advocate of spending public money on religious schools. And 15 years ago, she told a conference of Christians that doing that was an opportunity to, quote, advance God's kingdom. Secretary of Education under a president-elect who said we should be teaching patriotism in the schools. The would-be Secretary of Health and Human Services, Congressman and orthopedic surgeon Tom Price. He is reported to be a member of the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons, which opposes vaccination programs in schools, which suggested a link between abortion and breast cancer, and which once posted an article on its website that postulated presidential candidate Barack Obama was so popular because in his speeches, he was using a hidden form of hypnosis. A Secretary of Health and Human Services who is a member of an organization full of vaxxers and who believes in Hypnotoad. The Attorney General, you know, Jeff Sessions, the senator representing the Keebler Elf Magic Tree, prosecuted black voters in Alabama for voting, allegedly called the ACLU and NAACP un-American, admitted during testimony to the Senate that he believed the NAACP and one other group, quote, may have taken positions that I consider to be averse to the security interests of the United States. The other group was the National Council of Churches. Transportation Secretary nominee Elaine Chao from the Bush administration, where she was the labor secretary, where she drastically cut the roster of mine safety inspectors and the number of mine inspections. Just before 18 miners and 3 rescue workers were killed at Sago in West Virginia and Crandall Canyon in Utah. Plus, she's married to Senator Mitch McConnell, which suggests she has no judgment whatsoever. Wilbur Ross, Commerce, the supposed wizard of the distressed assets business, except that his distressed assets business fund tanked after he bet on dry bulk shipping and on Greek banks. Greek banks. Even I know not to invest in Greek banks. Trump's man for Treasury, Steve Mnuchin, 7 years ago, he and his cronies brought a failed mortgage company, Indy Mac. They foreclosed on as many as 36,000 homeowners, including one woman aged 90, after a payment error. She reportedly owed 27 cents. So Mr. Company threw her out over the case of 27 cents. Here are a few Batman villains mentioned but not yet named for other cabinet posts. At the Department of Agriculture, Sid Miller called Hillary Clinton the C word. Also has a Facebook page filled with fake news, including details of the secret Houston Jihad training camp that doesn't exist. Possible Secretary of the Interior, former Arizona Governor Jan Brewer, who once insisted the desert covering her state's border with Mexico was full of severed heads. Rumored at the Veterans Administration, Scott Brown, former Massachusetts senator, also former nude model. Prospective head of the Office of Management and Budget, Gary Cohn, president of Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs, the company Trump alleged Hillary Clinton was in the pocket of. Goldman Sachs, which Trump supporters chanted at Ted Cruz. Goldman Sachs, which reportedly concludes that current Republican tax plans will increase the debt to $1 trillion by 2020, but that Trump's tax plan will increase it to $1.5 trillion. At Homeland Security, Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark, who has had 4 deaths in his jail since April, and when a county supervisor criticized him over that, he called for the county supervisor to be prosecuted. Clark also insisted the presidential election was rigged and thus, quote, "it is pitchfork and torches time in America." After Trump won that election that Clark insists was rigged, Clark didn't understand why anybody was protesting. Quote, "these temper tantrums from these radical anarchists must be quelled," he said. "There is no legitimate reason to protest the will of the people." Yeah, and a sanity test, I'm not betting on him to pass. Then there's ex-campaign manager Kellyanne Conway, who could wind up somewhere. She got into a shouting match last week with Clinton campaign people when their manager accused Conway of providing, quote, "a platform for white supremacists." Conway, feigned shock, said, hashtag he's your president, and later whined that she took the comment personally. She should take it personally. If you abetted Trump, you are either a white supremacist or somebody who does not mind white supremacists, Kellyanne Conway. Which is worse? Named to non-cabinet positions, senior counselor, chief strategist Stephen Bannon from Breitbart, a website that makes shit up. Last week, as the idiot-elect walked near and then amid a group of photographers and reporters, Bannon asked a press aide, quote, "who are all these photographers and why are they here?" There came the answer, quote, "this is the press pool." Chief of Strategery, you say? Deputy National Security Advisor K.T. McFarland, who 6 years ago called a secrets leaker a, quote, terrorist. That was Julian Assange. That was before Julian Assange started working to get Trump elected. McFarland's website, Twitter account, and Facebook page were all scrubbed off the internet this week. One overview. This tweet from somebody named Bruce Melman mocking the Bernie Sanders tweet about the Trump administration of, by, and for the millionaires and billionaires. Interesting to see Democrats' selective populism, he writes. Rich Obama nominees get confirmed, rich Trump nominees get attacked. The net worth of the 9 Obama people there, a combined $497,600,000, which is a lot less. The combined worth of the 9 rich Obama appointees is 1/5 of what Wilbur Ross is worth by himself. It is 1/10 of what Betsy DeVos and her family are worth alone. Oh, and one guy I have left out. Former Lieutenant General and now National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, who thinks CNN and MSNBC are state-run television, who has taken payments from the Russians, and who is one of those jackasses tweeting the rumors linking Hillary Clinton to pedophilia. His own son helped spread the specific false internet story that Clinton was involved in some kind of child sex ring centered in a Washington pizza restaurant, a restaurant into which walked last Sunday a man carrying a rifle who said he was there to self-investigate the story. National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. He could have gotten innocent Americans killed with his computer. Trump wants him there to tell him when to start blowing things up. 7 hours after that incident, Flynn's son tweeted that paranoid fantasy that set all this off had not yet been proven to be false and thus would remain a story. And Flynn's son, by the way, is not just some random idiot. He has an official .gov email as part of the Trump transition team. General Flynn and his idiot son have no business in any government except perhaps that of North Korea. But therein lies the problem with the Batman villains of the Trump administration. They are so over the top, you think they cannot be real. And then along comes Donald Trump. And for the record, Trump is not the puzzler from Batman. That was the actor Maurice Evans. Any similarity is purely coincidental. Resist. Peace.